I know that trying to relax can make things worse because of the added pressure. However, I also notice that if I don't to some degree make myself relax, then it doesn't happen. Any strategy tips? Relaxation sometimes is considered a goal, and it's not wrong to want to relax, but it's one of those things we have to be a bit careful about because, exactly as the question points out, if you apply too much pressure to yourself to relax, it can backfire, and instead it can just be stressful. And it's interesting if you do this experiment yourself. If somebody says to you, make sure you relax. It's like, oh my God. It's one of the most threatening things somebody can say to you. If somebody says the opposite, if they say, no, feel as stressful and feel as miserable as you need to right now, you're going to go, oh, great, I can just relax. Why? Because the expectations have been taken out of the way. It's the expectation, the pressure of needing to relax just gets in the way, and that becomes a major problem. So it's good to notice that dynamic, and relaxation is good, but the question is more, how can we create the space for relaxation rather than the relaxation? So part of this is the environment that you're in. Can you optimize it in a way that aids relaxation? It doesn't have to be perfect, but sometimes there are just simple things you can do to make your environment a bit more relaxing. Where are you? What's happening around you? Have you got the TV on? Is it noisy? Is it disturbing? Maybe that needs to go off for a while and you just need a chance to stop and breathe. And it's something to watch out for, because sometimes we think we're doing the necessary and we're well-intentioned. So, for example, if you have a very busy day and you're caught up in doing what you're doing, what can happen is you can end the day tired, but also rather stimulated and switched on. So sometimes things like the TV, they can be perfectly valid. I'm not preaching against the TV here, but what can happen sometimes is that because we're kind of tired but still switched on, things like turning on the TV kind of allow us to physically slump, which can be a useful thing to some extent, but they also engage our mind. So that can feel like a more natural transition, because if your mind is pretty busy and then you just stop, you sit there in silence, you can be like, it can feel a bit too loud sometimes. So something like that can feel nice as a transition. And it's not necessarily bad as a transition. It can be useful. But with anything like the TV, and increasingly websites like Netflix or YouTube or services like that have an autoplay function. So it's not that you're watching something and that's that, but you're watching something and something else comes on and then another thing and so on. So that's the thing to watch out for, is just getting kind of caught up in that spiral. There's nothing wrong with choosing to watch a number of things even, but actually choosing to watch them rather than just being kind of caught on and then it's bedtime before you know it. So what I think we want to do is create a bit of that space, and it's nice to reverse engineer a little bit from relaxation backwards. So we say, okay, well, if I was relaxed, what would likely be the environment that contributes to that? What would be the frame of mind? What would I be doing? What would I not be doing? And just to paint a bit of a picture of that for you. Now, this is going to vary from person to person, and it's also going to vary within your life from month to month, week to week, day to day to some extent as well, because it depends on what you've been doing. Relaxation to some extent can be about contrast or about change. Like a change is as good as the rest. It's kind of like that. And therefore, if you have been kind of doing nothing for a month, just lying down and relaxing in inverted commas as you might normally think about it, mightn't be the most relaxing thing. Actually, stretching and getting out there might feel more relaxing in that sense. If you've been very physically active, moving a bit less. If you've been rather sedentary, moving a bit more. So balance is a big part of this. So this is why thinking about relaxation as something that kind of emerges, and if you can just create space for it, is usually a bit more useful, because then you can be holistic. You can make sure you're putting the ingredients in place that make sure you really are getting the type of relaxation that you need, the brand that you need. So that can be good. But the other advantage of taking that approach is it's not an approach of pressure. It's not about strain and pressure that you're putting on yourself. Because if you're putting strain and pressure on yourself, it's very likely to backfire. Just creating more tension in the very effort to get rid of tension. It's kind of a feedback loop that's been created. So instead, what we want is more permission for body and mind to let go of tension, to embrace relaxation, definitely giving that permission, being rather intentional, but not actually requiring it to happen in any shape or form. And that can seem paradoxical. I say, well, why am I doing it then? But it's less to do with wanting it or not wanting it. It's more to do with just handing over control then to the systems that can actually make that happen. So like if you want to change the temperature in a room that has central heating or air conditioning, what you're going to do, you won't just sit there and do nothing, because then it won't change. But nor will you just will it to be different. You'll go to the thermostat, you'll adjust the thermostat the way you want it, then you let go and just let it happen in its own way. You might take other steps like closing windows, opening windows, adjusting things if you want, just to create the environment where it can happen. But once you've done that, your job's done. So likewise, create a nice environment. Definitely do that kind of attracts and promotes relaxation, like leaving out bird feed and feeders for birds. You can't force the birds to come, but you can certainly draw them. You can make it more likely that they will come. And then relax as you let relaxation look after itself. If you found this valuable, do like, subscribe, and share. And what's your experience? Do you have any questions or topic suggestions? You can contribute in the comments, on social media using #bodymindself, or on jfl.com.